My mom let me struggle for years to earn my dad's love, knowing I wasn't his biological son, and now I don't know if I can forgive her. Posted by you/foreverplane70101. My 17M parents were young when they got married. My mother, 38F, is a stay-at-home mom and works part-time, while my dad, 40M, is a software developer. I am the oldest of 4 siblings. I have been treated like the black sheep of the family for as long as I can remember. Birthdays never meant anything, just a cupcake from my mom and no presents. I wasn't allowed to have friends over. Christmas was never something I looked forward to. At most, I would get some socks while I watched my dad, aunts, uncles, and grandparents give my siblings gifts, new bikes, the latest fashionable clothes, phones, game consoles, games, you name it, they got it. The same went for their birthdays, big parties where their friends and family would show up and shower them with gifts. I was never allowed on family trips or vacations. I was left behind to stay with my grandparents, who were strict about everything I did. Sometimes, they would even call someone else to pick me up when I was supposed to stay with them. My mom got a part-time job when I was 13, and sometimes she would ask if we could just spend the day together while my dad and siblings were out, even if it was just to get ice cream. When I was home, I mostly stayed in my room and studied. It didn't matter how well I did in school or sports, my dad showed no interest. I was able to earn some money by tutoring, and I eventually managed to get a part-time job at a food court and a grocery store, which meant I spent less time at home. Over the years, my mental health got worse and worse because I was trying to maintain good grades, perform well in sports, and work 2 part-time jobs. My mom helped me find a therapist, who has been a great help. Yesterday, I came home from work late, tired, and just wanting to go to bed. I opened the door to hear my mom arguing with my dad and aunt in the living room. I could hear my aunt saying that I should be more grateful toward my dad. Then they saw me standing in the doorway and stopped talking. My mom and dad looked like they had seen a ghost, while my aunt announced, "And in comes the bastard." I was shocked to hear her say that. I knew she didn't like me and mostly ignored me when we were in the same room, but I got angry and just asked her to repeat what she had said. My dad quickly stopped her, but no, I wanted to know what I should be grateful for. So I asked what was going on. No one said anything for a while, so I asked again, grateful for what? Being ignored, neglected, abandoned, while my siblings are spoiled and get to play happy family with dad? As soon as I said dad, my aunt shouted that I was not his son. I was shocked by what she said, and I asked my dad if it was true. He looked at me and just said, "I'm sorry." I didn't know what to say. I looked at my mom, and she said nothing. I went to my room and just started crying. Later, my mom found me on the floor, shaking and crying. She helped me up and stayed with me until I fell asleep. I woke up this morning and called in sick. I barely left my room today. I just feel like everything I've done to make the man I call dad proud, or just to get him to acknowledge me, has been a waste of my life. I wish I had known years ago. Edit. After I put up this post, I had to get out of the house. I wanted to be alone for a while, and the thoughts of ending things became too hard to ignore. So, I called my best friend, and he picked me up. We went for a drive, and I told him what had happened yesterday. He just listened while I cried and told him everything. He already knew my father was like this, but not the extended family. I had never seen him so angry before. He had to pull over to calm himself down. I showed him the post, and he was silent for a while. After a few minutes, he told me that no matter what, I was his best friend, and he asked if it would be okay for him to maybe talk to his parents about me staying at his place for some time. I said yes. He dropped me off at home, and we got out of the car and talked for a bit. Before he left, he gave me a hug and said that whenever I felt alone, I should give him a call. When I entered the house, I ignored everyone. First, I would like to thank everyone for your comments. Though I have not responded, I have read through all of them. They have not only been helpful in helping me see things differently, but they have also encouraged me to stay strong until I can move out. You are right, this man is not my dad or father, and I will no longer see him as such. I will try to get some answers about why I am being abused, why no one told me anything all these years, and most importantly, who my real biological father is. Is he alive? Does he know I exist? To clarify one thing, I have no idea who anyone on my mother's side of the family is, and therefore, there is no contact with them. My 18th birthday is at the end of the summer, and I plan to move out that day, or even sooner, if I have the opportunity to do so. Commenter. So sorry to hear that. I can't imagine what you've been through or are going through. You do seem like a good kid, your whole life is ahead of you, and I'm sure good things await. You'll come out of this stronger and wiser. Didn't your mother and her husband say anything to you after you got home? Didn't they try to stop you from going to your friend or at least talk to you about this? Ops response. When I left, I didn't say anything. I just texted my mom that I was out and would be back later. When I got home, my mom tried to say something, but I ignored it and went to my room. She came to check on me later and asked if I'd like to come down for dinner, but I declined and said I wasn't hungry. She stayed for a while and tried to get me to open up. I just asked why she never told me that he wasn't my father. She didn't answer the question and just said how sorry she was that I had to find out this way, and then she left. Update 4 days later. So, a lot has happened in these past few days, and I am conflicted about many things right now. However, I am hopeful that I can start to heal mentally. Also, sorry for the long post. On Thursday, before I left for work at the grocery store, my father, whom I will refer to as K, called out to me. I responded by saying, yes, his first name. He looked confused because I have always called him Dad before. After a bit of silence, I bluntly asked, what? He didn't respond and just told me it was nothing, so I went to catch the bus. When I got home late in the evening, my mom wanted to know why I called K by his first name. I told her that he never treated me as anything close to a son, so why should I call him Dad anymore? She had no answer, but she told me he was hurt by it. I wanted to scream when she said that. Yesterday, I had an appointment with my therapist, and I cannot put into words how much she has helped me over the years. Later, my best friend called to let me know that I could stay with them if I wanted. This morning, when I woke up, my mom was already awake and making breakfast. I asked her if we could talk alone today, as it was important. She agreed to talk after breakfast because Kay had to leave for work shortly after. After Kay left, she told my siblings not to enter the kitchen for a while. I am paraphrasing a bit because it was a long conversation. We sat down, and I found it hard to get the words out at first. But I told my mom that I couldn't get over the way I've been treated and neglected by Kay and his side of the family for all these years, and I needed to know why she allowed it. At first, she tried to dodge the question and gave me the same answers as always. But I didn't give in and told her that this was important to me. Again, she tried to dodge it, so I told her that I couldn't do this anymore. I was going to pack up some of my things and move out, and until she was ready to tell me the things I needed to hear, we would not be on speaking terms. She started to tear up and just kept saying, "I'm so sorry," over and over. It hurt me in that moment to see my mom cry, but I tried my hardest to keep my emotions in and asked her again, why? After some time, when she calmed down, she told me what happened. When she was 20 and in university, she had a boyfriend whom she had been with for 3 years. They shared an apartment along with his best friend. One night, they went out clubbing and got into an argument because she wanted to stay, but her boyfriend wanted to go home. He left, and both she and his best friend were really drunk. That night, she cheated on her boyfriend with his best friend at the club. The next day, she woke up and realized what she had done. After a few days, she and the best friend confessed to the affair, and her boyfriend broke up with her. Her ex contacted her parents and told them what she had done. Her parents were furious and told her she was not welcome back home, cutting off all financial support. She had to move out, lost a lot of friends, and had nowhere to stay. She ended up living in her car for a while. When she found out she was pregnant, she didn't know what to do. She went back to the apartment to find that her ex and his best friend no longer lived there. She tried calling and texting them, but they didn't pick up or respond to her messages. She eventually got a job at a cafe, where she met Kay. He was a regular customer, and they got to know each other. Kay asked her out, and even though she told him she was pregnant, he didn't care at the time. However, Kay's parents were not happy that their son was dating a pregnant woman and a cheater and threatened to cut him out of their lives. Kay got scared and was going to break up with her, but she begged him not to and promised to be the perfect wife and have his kids. They made plans to get married soon after I was born. Kay never showed any interest in me when I was born, but my mom lived with the hope that one day he would. After hearing all of this, I didn't know what to say for a while. After thinking for a moment, I asked if she had ever tried to contact my possible biological father. She said no, but based on the timeline, her affair partner was most likely my biological father, though she couldn't be 100% sure. I asked if she had ever tried to reconnect with her family. She said she tried when she was about to get married, but her parents, siblings, aunts, and uncles didn't want to see her, so she gave up. I asked her why Kay was hurt by me calling him by his first name. She told me he had been seeing a therapist for the last 2 years because he had been suffering from depression and guilt. This surprised me. She said it started when I was 15. I had come home after a handball game, where we won, and I was awarded man of the match. I was so happy and excited to tell them about it. My mom was, of course, happy for me, but Kay just told me to put the award with the others in my room. I started crying in front of him and asked why he hated me. He didn't reply, so I went to my room and cried all night. After that, Kay felt a sadness that wouldn't go away, it only grew. My mom eventually convinced him to see a therapist. Over time, the therapist got through to him, and for the past few years, he's been living with this guilt. When I called him by his first name, he realized he had lost me. The next question I was afraid to ask, but I asked if he had ever abused her. She told me he had never abused her and that Kay had only ever loved her. The only time he ever questioned her was when she was pregnant with my younger brother, and he asked for a paternity test, which she understood. When it came back positive, he apologized and never questioned her again. The last question I asked was why I was left with people who abused me physically, mentally, and emotionally while they went on trips and vacations. She was shocked to hear about the physical abuse and asked me what had happened. I told her that I never said anything at the time because I was afraid of Kay's family members when it happened. I told her everything I could remember, but here are some of the things they did. My grandparents would scold me loudly and hit me when I was younger. My aunt never spoke to me unless she needed a favor, only to then go back to ignoring me and telling me to stay in the guest room. When I was 14, my father took the family on a 2-day trip to Croatia but left me with his older brother. His brother asked me to go to the store to buy some things, and of course, I said yes. When I came back, he opened the door, took the bags, and locked me out of the house. I sat there crying until they had all finished their dinner. Then he let me in. My mom cried the whole time while I told her everything. She told me how sorry she was. She knew they didn't like me, but this was pure hate. After the conversation, she asked if I was going to move out and where. I told her I was planning on it but wouldn't tell her where because I didn't want Kay to know where I would be staying. She started crying again, and it hurt to see her cry. The conversation was long and lasted several hours, but these are just the main points. After that, I went to my room to clear my head and think. About an hour later, someone knocked on my door, and I told them to come in. It was Kay. He asked if he could enter, and I said yes. It was the first time I could remember him ever entering my bedroom. He looked around for a bit, stopping at the shelf where I keep all of my awards and trophies from school and sports. He looked both surprised and sad when he saw the medals from when I did track and field and played football. He stopped when he saw the Small Man of the Match award and picked it up. He held it for a while and started to tear up. Then, he put it back and sat down on the bed. Neither of us said anything for a while. I asked if Mom had told him what we talked about. He was still tearing up and slightly nodded his head. I asked him if he was aware of how I see him. He nodded again and whispered, yes. I asked, so you know the extent of what your parents and siblings put me through? He looked me in the eyes and asked if it was true. I said yes, and he just started crying. After a while, he stood up and hugged me. This was both the first time he had ever hugged me and the first time I'd ever seen him cry in front of me. I just hugged him back and started to cry too. He didn't want to let go and said how sorry he was, for the pain he caused me, for the years of neglect, for treating me like an outsider. He begged me not to move out. When he finally let go, he asked for a chance. I told him that maybe, with time, I could forgive him and Mom, but they had to earn it. However, I would not forgive his family for the things they had done. Also, for now, he was still Kay. He was hurt by this but accepted it. For now, I am not moving out. But if things go back to the way they were, I will not hesitate to leave, and he knows it. We are going to see a family therapist together. In the future, I will try to reach out to my biological father. However, I'm still unsure about my maternal side of the family. I'm on the fence about them. Thank you for reading. Edit. I called my friend and told him what happened. The door will always be open at his place. We have known each other since we started school, and we both play for the same team. I know his parents well, and they are lovely people. I know many of you want me to move out as soon as possible, but I told them I would like to give them this one chance, and that is what I will do for the moment. Honestly, I am not scared that things will just go back to how they have been. I have been saving all of my money since I started working. To those who have been sending virtual hugs, here's a virtual hug back, and thank you. Thank you for all the comments and support. Commenter. What are they going to do about your stepfather's family's abuse? Are they going to call them out on it? And how do your other siblings treat you, obviously with the exception of your sister, who seems to love you? Ops response. Kay and Mom have spoken to my siblings, letting them know that, from now on, his side of the family will not be allowed to visit anymore for the foreseeable future. They were surprised at first, but Kay explained what happened. My brothers didn't know what to say, but my sister got really angry at Kay and Mom. I had a talk with my siblings about how hurt I was by my strained relationship with my brothers because we used to be a lot closer. It's like they started seeing me as a roommate rather than a brother some time ago. My sister has always wanted to spend time together and gets really upset if she misses my games. I let them know that I didn't care if they saw his family outside the house. However, my brothers told me they would rather try to fix our relationship. Second update 1 week later. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you who have messaged me on the last post and privately. I want you to know that I am safe and staying at my friend's house. They are willing to let me stay with them long term. These messages have not only opened my eyes but also helped me see my mom and Kay for the people they truly are. Neither of them loves me or cares about me. I have had people sharing their stories of childhood abuse and neglect and how they managed to get out. Every time I have tried to talk to my mom and Kay about the abuse, or asked my mom how she could happily leave me behind and do nothing about it, they have tried to avoid the questions, love bomb me, and say that things will change. What really got to me was a message I received this morning asking how my mom never noticed any bruises when they picked me up after trips and vacations. That sealed the deal for me. There is no way someone who is supposedly supposed to care for you wouldn't notice. This morning, I got ready to leave and packed up my things. It wasn't much that I was taking with me. When I was ready, I called my friend and asked him to pick me up when he could and to call me when he was outside. When my friend called me, I moved my things out. I let my mom and Kay know that I would be moving out. They did not take it well and started begging me to stay. I told them that I couldn't stay because it was clear to me that they didn't care about me. Kay got defensive and tried to say that this was my home and I should not leave. I asked him why, after 2 years of therapy, he has remained the same. How come, even though I tried my best, I was still treated like an outsider? He didn't say anything. I asked my mom why she let this go on for years without doing anything to stop it. Again, she didn't say anything. My brothers weren't home, so I went to say goodbye to my sister. It was really hard because she is the only one who has ever treated me with genuine kindness and love. I talked with her a bit, and when I told her that I was leaving, she looked so sad. It was harder than I thought to say goodbye to her. When I got to his car, I just broke down. We drove around for a bit before we got to his place. His dad helped me get settled in the guest room. My friend told his parents about the posts. They asked me to tell them everything, and I did. His parents talked in private for a bit and then let me know that they would rather have me stay with them long term than go back. Again, thank you for everything. Third update 1.5 months later. Just want to give an update on how I'm doing ever since I left. My best friend and his family have been nothing but wonderful. They have taken me in as their own and shown me nothing but love, kindness, and understanding. I appreciate everything they have done to make me feel safe and loved. I have met with my mom and siblings on a few occasions, but never at my old home or at my friend's house. I have made it clear that I will never step foot inside there again, and it took my mom some time to realize that. She stopped asking me to come back after I ignored her for a few weeks. I have switched therapists because I felt like I needed a fresh start in dealing with all of this. And yes, therapists are mandatory reporters in my country. I learned that after my first appointment, when the therapist contacted the police and reported my old one. K and some of his extended family have tried to reach out via texts. Some have offered their apologies, while others just sent insults. It's not hard to figure out why. Those have been blocked. To those who apologized, K's parents, brother, and his family, I replied with a simple, I accept your apology, but I do not forgive you. That may never happen, and it will be on my terms. For the foreseeable future, do not contact me again. What happens next, I do not know. I am just going to focus on school, my mental health, and getting a driver's license. Thank you for everything. I truly appreciate every one of you, and big hugs to you all. Commenter. Bro, let's be honest, you need to keep your distance from your mom. I mean, she knew what they did to you and never tried to stop it. She's a selfish woman who chose her life over her son. Ops response. The only reason I am in contact with my mom is that I can't meet my siblings without her. When I turn 18, I will become financially independent, and I can block her from interfering with my accounts. She has never done that in the past, but I don't want to take any chances. Commenter. I'm surprised that K's brother and his parents apologized. Ops response. I made a police report the day after I moved, and my new therapist also reported them. So, I think it's just an attempt to save face.